Folks, let me get your attention for a few. We're working on these long-term projects, right? Let me show them to you. These ones, right? This is towards the end of the semester. This is what we're going to work on. What I want to show you today is how to do the first level of character animation, how to put things together, to group them, and then move them around. If you have questions, you can ask as you go. This is very important because if you want to animate anything, you have to understand this technique, which is called forward kinematics. Has anyone ever heard of it before? You've seen it before, I'll promise you. On our web page, I actually have a link. Where the hell are we here? Okay, I'll go here. I have this link down here, how to forward kinematics, okay? Hey, John. These 4 steps. We're going to arrange our objects. We're going to position center points. We're going to parent them, which is the big part of this. We're going to make a hierarchical relationship, much like we do when we're texturing, much like we do when we're saving stuff, and then we're going to animate the things. You have to follow this order. If you don't follow this order, everything will fall apart. It can fall apart to such a degree it is unfixable. Now, if you follow this order, you will be using the character animation technology used for about 90% of all the character animation you've ever seen. This technology was really figured out by about 1991 or 1992, just before Jurassic Park. And if you think of movies from that era, from the late 80s to the early 90s, what you saw was a lot of spaceships and robots and like tanks, and you might have seen knights. You saw rigid stuff lined up so it could move around. And this is the technology to do that. What I am going to do is I have this lamp here, we can sort of see, like that. And do we have enough line on John? I'm going to make a model of this lamp in there, which I've sort of roughly made already. I'm going to put it together so I can animate it and move it and have it do stuff. Thank you, John. Okay, this is my scene as it stands, and I've just made several of the parts, as you can see. And we talked about the schematic before, briefly. If not, we'll go over it again. When I hit a 9 key, I get this window here. This is a schematic. You've heard the term schematic? Okay, what is it? You've seen them before, right? Generally in electronics, things like that. The NYC subway map. This is a schematic. That. The thing about this map that is revolutionary, and this wasn't the first one like it, it was the London tube map, the London subway map that was the first map to do this. The London subway map, and ever since, every subway map and most train maps started to do a thing, and this goes back a long time, when they realized that you have this problem where if I take Manhattan, I have a whole bunch of stations, maybe like 20 stations within the range of maybe a mile or 2. And if I take the outer parts of Queens, I have maybe 5 stations across 10 miles. So there was a graphic designer actually working for the London metro system maybe around 1910, 1915 or so, and he was given this problem where if you make the map to scale, it's huge, right? And the part everybody needs is just a little center. If you make the center big, well, this gets big. If you make the outer parts smaller, the center gets too small. He realized that when you're on a train, it doesn't matter how far it is to the next station. If it's a mile, if it's 2 miles, if it's a half mile, you don't care. It's the next station. You get out there. So what he realized is I can draw a map where I just position every station a certain distance away from each other, and then everything will fit. Now, the revolutionary thing about that is that it shows everything that you're dealing with, but not to scale. It shows it in a way so you can access all of it. And anytime you've used this map, you've been using that. If I take here 145th Street to 135th Street as compared to 42nd Street to 50th Street. That's 8 blocks, that's 10 blocks, and yet the distance looks about the same. That's fine on this. You don't care. This is a schematic of your scene. Basically, everything in your scene is laid out in 2 dimensions with no immediate reference to the scale of the things, just everything in it. So my scene is all of this stuff, but this is a schematic view of the scene. And I have to be able to understand how to use this to be able to animate well. I'm going to hit the A key. I can move around this like I can anything else. And you'll see this is all the basic parts. I can select from this the same way I can select from this down here. No different. Okay? Now, if I go back to this over here, I have to arrange my objects. I'm going to arrange my objects in here and in here. So I'm going to go into my lamp, and I know that I need this part here, which I selected. I'm going to put that up there. Let me use my translate key to move it over to the right place. I'll use the top view here, and I'll use my front view here, and I'll zoom in on that. Over here, I probably want to lay it out the same way. If this is the holder for the lamp, and this is the actual lamp, which I'll move into position there. Let's put this up like that, and in this view over here, I'll position it like that. And let me make sure it's centered here. And again, if I do it right in all of these 3 views, it will look correct over here. Like that. Now I want to do the same thing here. I know that that's my grid. This is my actual lamp. I'm going to move this using my M key. I'm going to put it over here, and I'm going to rename it. I'm going to call this lamp. Okay. And let me zoom back out here with my A key. The holder, which I'll put here, I'm going to put over here and rename it lamp holder. Okay. And then actually the bracket, which is the thing behind that, I'll move up over here. I'm going to call this bracket. I just double clicking it, going over there. What is this thing? That was a disk, but we'll call it arm. Okay. And we should have base. This is where everything's going to come from, which I'll put down here. Base. Yep. Yes. And now we'll pick the legs. This is one leg, which I'll put in the right place for it. I'm going to double click it, and I'm going to call it left leg. And I'll take the other one over here, and I'll call it right leg. Right leg. Okay. Now, I have organized it, and I'm going to move my other stuff just out of the way here. I have organized it in this view so it looks roughly the way I want to animate it, and I've organized it in these views so it looks roughly the way I want to animate it. Let's try selecting this, and we'll go F, 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 F. Like that, right? Now, if I go to my chart, position the center points. This is perhaps the most important part. This is going to figure out how everything moves in relation to everything else. And there's something about these objects that has always been there that you probably have not dealt with to this point. If I take an object, and I'm going to take an object like this, let's say, and I rotate it, it's going to rotate from some point, and I don't like that, so let me pick something else. How about this? Rotate it. Okay, it's rotating from there, which is probably all right, to tell you the truth. Let me find my bracket. Rotate. Good. When I move my bracket, it's rotating wrong. It's rotating from its center point. I don't want its center point to rotate from there. I want it to rotate from back here. I can move its center point. So this next step will be moving every center point to rotate from the right position, and I'm going to start with my base. If I go to my base and I go to translate, it's going to show me where it rotates from, dead center. And let me hit F and we'll see this in all these views. And I'll close some of these. I'm even going to close this for the time being. I can get it back by hitting my 9 key. I really want to rotate from down here, so I'm going to pick center. And this is going to change a little bit, watch. I now have that. When I move this now, I am not moving my object. I'm moving where my object rotates from. When I just did this, if I go back to object and rotate, it now does that. If I undo that, it does this. So I want my lamp to rotate from the base down here, right? I'm going to take it, I'm going to go to translate, I'm going to go to center point and move it to rotate from there. Now I'm going to take the legs. This leg is rotating from here, and I probably want it to rotate from back here. So let me move that center point to there. Maybe not that far, maybe right there. Actually, maybe I want to rotate from the center of this object. Yeah, why not? Now I'll take my other leg here, and I'll make it rotate from that same center point. Good. Now, I'm going to hit my 9 key to open my schematic again. My legs are done. Let's do the arm. The arm I want to rotate from that point right there, which is good. But let me go back to object mode. I can see it's not exactly where I want it to be, so I'll translate it down a little bit. Good. You know what? I can position it better here. Okay. Now let's go to the bracket, and let's see where that is exactly. And let's check its rotation point. We will go to translate. And I really want it to rotate from the arm. So I'm going to move I should probably move the object. I'll line it up a little bit better. Yeah, and I'll line it up a little bit better here. And then that is good. But now I got to pick my lamp holder, which is going to be in the wrong place now. F, F, F. And we can see this over here. See, it's not touching? I need to make that touch, and I need it to rotate from back here. So let me move its center point first. I'll move its center point to the back of it right there. And let me see in these other views if that's okay. F and F. Yes, that's good. Now I'll move the actual lamp back so it touches that. Good. And now this, which is my lamp, F, let's see where it's rotating from. That's okay. Let me check in this view. If I rotate this now, it'll look like it's rotating the way I want it to, so I'm good with that. Once I have done this, and this is really important, if I'm still in center mode, get out of it. So what I've done at this point is I have take my objects, named them, I have put them all into order here and order here, and now my next step, parenting. We've talked a lot about this. When we talked about saving files, we talked about hierarchical file structures. When we talked about texturing and building up textures as these big trees, there's a reason that I keep bringing this up. The reason is that to animate, you have to understand these processes. If you don't, you can't. The next step we're going to do is we're going to put these objects in a relationship just the way we put directories. This is called a parent-child relationship. And the way it works is that a parent controls where a child will go. I want the base of the lamp to be the parent of everything. So I know I want the legs attached to it. So I'm going to select both legs, and then there's a button over here that says parent. And when I click it, watch what happens. I click it, and my mouse buttons change. If you look at the bottom of the screen there, you can see that it says pick child with my left mouse button, pick parent with the middle, terminate with the right. So if I'm middle mouse, I parented this leg to the base. I'm now going to right mouse because I don't have anything else picked. I'll pick my left leg, I'll hit parent, and I will middle mouse. And what that means, if I right mouse click, is that if I rotate, they all go together. See that? If I pick one of them, it will rotate appropriately to everything else. Control Z. I now want to put the lamp attached to the lamp holder, attached to the bracket, attached to the arm, attached to the base. So I'll pick my base, I'll pick parent, and I will pick a child, and I will right mouse click. And then I'll pick my arm, and I'll pick parent, and I'll pick a child, and I'll right mouse click. And I'll pick the bracket, and I'll parent, and I will pick my child, right mouse, and I will pick this, parent, pick my child, right mouse, escape, well, or just get out of that mode, and I am set up. This is a good time to save. File, save as. I'm going to save this as lamp 1. Okay. Now, I would actually animate. Let's say I want to make this lamp move around a bit and then move its lamp head, let's say. First off, I'm going to position my legs a little bit differently because this lamp here, the legs stick out. So let me pick a leg, and if I can actually use my schematic for this. If I pick the left leg here, I'm going to rotate it like that, and I'll pick my right leg here, and I'll rotate it like that. So this is how we're going to start, and we'll frame all this up so we can see it. And I'll back out a little bit like that. And now I'm going to do the forward kinematics part. When we look at this, the words, kine is like as in kinetic or cinema. It just means motion. Latin probably, maybe Greek, who knows. Matic is like an automatic. So it's automatic motion, forward automatic motion. This technique is what most of the stuff you see animated works as. If you're in a video game and you see like a gun that has something that like cocks back and forth and some other part that comes out underneath it, what you're looking at is this, okay? Someone took the parts, they modeled them, they went through all these 4 steps, parented them together, and now they've just created this animation. If you're seeing a car that has doors that open and wheels that turn and windows that roll down, that's what you're seeing. If you're seeing like a door, the best animators I know primarily use this technology exclusively. Now, the forward part of it is the stranger part to my mind. If I take something, like if I take this remote control and I go like this with it, it did at least 2 things there. It moved like this, right? And it spun like this. And because of the laws of physics out here, that's all automatic. In there, I have to fake all of it. So the forward part comes from an action out here that seems very natural. I have to go to the back of and move forward through. In this case, I'm going to first move my lamp from position to position, then I will rotate my lamp afterwards to make it look like it's actually walking or doing whatever the hell I want it to do. I'm going to go over to my 9 key here. I'm going to take my base and I'm going to rotate it because I want it to go in a different direction to start. Control Z. What am I missing? Oh, you know what I have to do? I have to lock my arm. Oh, and actually, there's something else I have to do that... Will I regret this? No, I probably won't. I'm going to cut something because I happen to know that... Oh, you know what I should do? I'm just going to freeze this. Freeze. Because this was made from something else. And let me see if that's going to move better now. Yep. Okay, let me go back over here and move this again, and everything's good now. Good. I'm going to start my lamp in this position here, and maybe I'll also move the head up a little bit. I'm going to go to the bracket. I'll rotate the whole thing like that, and I'll also take the lamp head itself, and I'll rotate it down so it looks a little bit more like my actual lamp over here, like that, okay? Now I'm going to start its movement. I'm going to take the base here. I'm going to probably lift it slightly off the surface. Oh, which it is. Good. And I'm going to move it on a path. I'm going to do this with keyframes. I have this selected over here. I can minimize it. And I'm going to keyframe its starting position here, and we'll go about a couple seconds in, and I'll move the whole thing over to here, let's say, and I'll go a couple seconds further, and I'll move it over to here, and I'll go a couple seconds further here, and I'll have it hop maybe slightly like this. I'll go up a little bit. I didn't key that last one. You know what I'll do? I have two controls here. Let me jump from keyframe to keyframe so I can see where things are. 1, 2, 3. I'll go forward to here and lift it up, and then go down to here and put it down like that. And I now have this happening. This is just the movement of it, okay? Now I want to put some rock into that movement, so I'm going to go to rotate. And from back here, and from this angle, I probably want it to go a little bit like this, okay? Let's start it here, and I will key that, and I'm going to go forward just a few frames, maybe to there, and I'll have it rock like that. And I'll have it go forward a few more frames, and I'll have it rock back like this. And it now has this action, which I want to repeat. I can repeat that by using my curve editor. We know the 9 key brings up the schematic. The 0 key brings up the curve editor. If you animate a lot, you will spend all your time in a curve editor. No matter what 3D program you use, no matter what 2D program you use, if you animate, the one thing that all animation programs have in common is a timeline and generally a curve editor. The curve editor is the power of the program. Every color corrector, every 2D program, every 3D program, Flash, After Effects, all those things, they all have curve editors. Curve editor is based on the idea that I have frames going this way and I have value going this way. That value could be degrees, it could be grid units, it could be colors, it could be anything. Because of that, I can always make a curve out of what I'm animating. In this case, I know that this rotation was a very quick toddle back and forth, which happens to match up very closely to this. I can see the 3 keyframes right there, and remember these buttons will jump me from keyframe to keyframe. And you'll see over here it lit up rotation Z. So this Z rotation is the thing I definitely want to cycle. Boom, boom. Now I have that selected, as you can see, and I can go to curves, and I should be able to cycle. Let's see. Ah, there we go. If that worked and I hit play, it should keep doing it, which it is, which is great. But I have to have the whole thing turned, which is okay. I'm going to do that on a separate axis. That's going to be, let's go back to rotations. That's actually going to be on this axis here where I'm going to have the turn happen. So we have our Y rotation keyed in those same 3 places, which is good. Let me go forward to where I want to start to turn, which is going to be about here. And I'm going to rotate this slightly. And I'm going to key that. And now I'm going to move it forward to about here and have it turn the whole way. About like that. And let's back it up and see if that's going to work. It should toddle. My toddle stopped, but I can redo my toddle later. And there's the jump. Okay, I'm going to go back to this to turn on that cycling again, or actually what I probably have to do is I have to lose these 2 keyframes on this particular thing and my cycling will be back. If I hit play now, let's see what we're looking at. We'll go along, it will appear to turn a little more rapidly than I like. It gets into a different motion there, but I'm kind of okay with that for the time being. And we actually want the cycling to stop here, probably here I'll have it stop. So I'm going to take that curve and I can tell it to free cycle from 0 to 110. And then that should have stopped by that point, which you'll see. And by the way, whenever you see, when you're watching like a movie or playing a video game and you look in the end, you see animators. This is what animators do all day. The reason they pay animators is that they can like look at stuff out here and watch someone move or watch this spill or like watch a book turning, and they can translate it in there into the right looking stuff without any of these cues. Like again, when I play with this lamp here, you know, we have all these real physical limits. I can't make this go beyond that or this bend beyond a certain way. But in there, all that stuff can go anywhere. They fake it. They fake the whole thing. If I was to keep going here, I would then probably, when it lands, I would make the lamp do some sorts of moves. And let's start with the bracket of the lamp. I'm going to take the lamp holder like that, and I'm going to keyframe its rotations, and I'm going to start at 0, even though I'm not going to do anything with it. And I'm going to go all the way forward till it gets to where it's mostly stopped, about here, let's say. And I'm going to keyframe it again, although I didn't keyframe it in the first place, so let me go back and do that. And now once it's landed, I'm going to start to have it move. We'll go here, here, and here, and we'll decide what we want this to do. We'll have it do a full 360, let's say. And I'm going to close the curve editor for a second. By the way, you know how we have dual monitors on these? One of them is so you can look at these videos and things. The other reason is because when you start animating, you need more screen real estate. Like having my curve editor and having my schematic in the other monitor isn't a bad idea. There's a reason why these programs need screen real estate like no other programs. It is best to have access to those views to do all this properly. So don't be afraid to open up extra views and throw them onto the other monitor. I'm going to make this do a full 360, let's say. So let's see where we are. It ends up here, and we're at frame 184. I'll say by frame 220, it will do a full, we'll have it do 2 rotations like that. And then we'll actually have it do a little bit of a backlash. We'll have it go forward a little bit and come back to position. So I'm going to jump from this keyframe to that keyframe. I'll have it go forward slowly to about here. And then I'll have it come back to about there, let's say. So it lands, and then it spins around twice, and then it comes back, and now we'll have the actual lamp itself do a move back and forth, just start tilting, let's say. I'm going to key it. We'll key its rotations like that. I'll go forward a little bit. I'll have it come up like this, let's say. And then I'll have it come back down to there, let's say. And let's look at that whole thing. I can go here into playback. I'm going to go to real-time playback, and we'll take a view of it from here and deselect it, lose our grid too. And this is what we just animated. Okay. Any thoughts on that? Does it seem doable? For your projects, you're at the point where you have to start putting your stuff together like this. So when you're putting it together, you should be thinking of these 4 steps. Arrange them, position the center points, parent them, and animate. Try even something very simple. Try something as simple as like a leg or an arm, like 2 pieces, 1 piece, 2 piece, 3 pieces, and see if you can do it, and then work on from there, okay? Okay, good folks, give that a shot, see what you think.